Today we are going to talk about 10 powerful tips to rank #1 on Google for this year and beyond. Google's getting harder. We know it's much more of a red ocean. There's over 1 billion blogs that are out there, super competitive, right? So how do you stand out when it's a red ocean out there? Well, we're going to help you move over into a blue ocean where it's not as competitive, where you have a competitive edge so you can beat out your competitors. And if you don't watch this video to the very end, you're not going to be able to get there, all right? #1, obviously, 2 most important factors when it comes to ranking well on Google are content and links. So when people talk about focusing on content, the game has actually changed a little bit now. No longer is it about trying to get those top 3 rankings. In fact, the problem right now with the Google search result pages is that everything's starting to look the same because everyone's just trying to one-up each other. All the content's the same information now, right? So you have to think about how you can actually stand out, whether it's unique data that you might have or other unique information that's proprietary to you. So when we talk about focusing on the content, obviously you have to deliver first. It's not just about bringing people to the point of sale. When you actually bring people to the point of sale, which is marketing, you actually have to deliver. And in this case, it's your piece of content, right? So that hasn't changed. That will never change fundamentally because a search engine is supposed to help you find the right piece of information. So trying to game it real quick for a short game, that ain't gonna work well. Now, talking about practical applications here, #2 is updating your content, right? So if you have a site that's been around for a while, you're gonna have a couple of pieces that perform much better than the others. This is known as the 80-20 rule or the Pareto principle. So 20% of your content is maybe delivering 80% of the results. So what I like to do is update those pieces of content. So maybe every month or so you're going through, maybe every quarter or so, depending on how mature your site is, you are updating your content by adding maybe a paragraph, maybe adding a couple words here and there, right? And updating, actually, when you think about some publicly traded companies out there, they have people hired just specifically to update content. Updating your content, that's going to help with kind of focusing on the content. If you stay to the very end, I'm going to give you this one little secret that most people don't talk about when it comes to SEO. It's kind of counterintuitive, right? But before we move on, don't forget to hit the like button because it helps with the YouTube algorithm. So #3, kind of tying into content again, is thinking about the title and the meta description, right? So this seems like a duh thing, but this is where, when you actually think about copywriting goes a long way, because what copywriting does, David Ogilvy has said that once you have written your headline, you've spent 80 cents on the dollar already. So your title matters quite a bit, not just from an SEO perspective, not in terms of just having the keyword in there, but also, is your title enticing enough to get people to click? Because if it's not, then if they don't click, then ultimately it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're losing out on that traffic, right? Same thing also applies to SEO in the world of YouTube. You have to have a very good title as well. This is why YouTubers obsess over the titles, and they also obsess over the thumbnails as well. YouTube's obviously part of Google. It's the #2 search engine in the world, so you got to think about that as well if it makes sense. #4, so the concept I talked about earlier, all the results looking the same on Google now, and the algorithms are realizing that. Well, this is known as the concept of information gain. When you think about information gain, that means when they look at these pages, what proprietary data are you sharing? Maybe you have a video in there that other people don't have. Maybe there's some news. Maybe there's some news from insiders that you can share as well, where other people aren't going to be it's not going to be as easy for them to pull this information. Now, if you have this, you're going to have a unique edge over other people. When I think about the past, OkCupid, the dating site, and I don't even know if they're around anymore, but they used to share a lot of data around dating, right? Because they had that data. And so if you can do that, that's going to be unique content that only you can produce. Before we continue on, don't forget to hit the subscribe and the bell button as well if you enjoy videos like this on business and marketing. Let's talk about pillar content. So pillar content, what this means is, we talk about focusing on the content, but pillar content is having one main piece. So for example, you might have one article on interior design, but it's not just one article, it's multiple articles. Maybe the first article is the overview on interior design, and then maybe you have maybe 10 or 12 other pages that are cross-linking to each other and linking to the main page here. What happens here when the search engines see this is that they're seeing this as an entire resource, and naturally that resource gets pushed up. And I've seen this happen time and time again, where people spend a lot of money on this resource and it becomes a de facto resource. That resource itself gets a lot of links, and that becomes one of the most linkable assets, which makes the domain stronger. If you are a local business, you have to think about your reviews. So getting listed on Google My Business, asking for reviews. Like my barber always asks new customers, hey, can you leave me a review on Google? It's only going to take you a little bit, and his conversion rate is about 90%. Also, when you think about local, you got to think about 3 things. So name, address and phone number. That has to be consistent for all the listings that you have. That way search engines are like, okay, well, it seems like there's some consistency here, and then we're going to give this local business more credit. Number 6 is Google Search Console. This seems like a duh statement again, but Google Search Console is free to use, and it's very simple. You can look at keywords where you are getting a high impression count but a low click-through rate. Those are keywords where you might want to optimize the titles, or you can look at maybe there's some ideas where maybe you're not ranking as well, but Google's giving you some ideas. If you're ranking for some keywords, maybe you can add more keywords to that specific page, or you can make brand new pages, brand new resources to serve the user in that respect. Don't forget to leave a comment. Leave a comment in terms of what you like to see next, or maybe there's a tip that you think I might have missed or something you want me to elaborate on, because we enjoy making videos like this to help you grow. Number 7 is on page speed, and more specifically on core web vitals. So just having a piece of content is nice, but if people aren't able to load it quickly, or they're not able to see it because there's so many ads that are plastering the site, then ultimately they're not getting a good user experience. So you got to think about the user experience at the end of the day. That doesn't just mean a great piece of content, that just means the entire web experience as well. So optimizing for your Google core web vitals. Site speed is just one piece of it. I would recommend looking more deeply into it. Maybe we'll make a video on this in the future. Let me know if you'd like me to do that. Number 8, you got to think about increasing dwell time on the site. So dwell time means how long people are staying. Dwell time, the way you can increase it is you can have a longer form piece of content, or you can have some videos on the site as well. Maybe you can have a tool there, but if you can get people to stay longer, that is a helpful signal. Now, that's not always the end all be all, because sometimes maybe you just deliver something in like a couple seconds or so, and that's exactly what people are looking for. But the algorithms are going to continue to get smarter given all the progress they made with AI. Number 9 is a tried but true one. Sometimes some people call it guest posts, some people call it Parasite SEO. The whole idea here is maybe if you don't have a site that's that authoritative, then what you can do is, for example, if I want to talk about entrepreneurship, maybe I can write a guest post on Entrepreneur Magazine or Fast Company as an example, right? What happens afterwards is you just have to talk to these people. You have to ask, hey, are you going to allow outbound links? Are you going to allow me to talk about my business a little bit? You just have to kind of align expectations. Are you charging money for me to post? Just aligning expectations again. You do a couple of these reach outs, and if you have a really good piece, people would love to post it, because a lot of these sites, they want the content anyway. And the whole idea here is you are leveraging the domain authority from these other sites, and you're getting a link coming back to your site. Maybe the piece that you wrote, if it's really good, it's going to get a couple thousand, or maybe tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views on it, and that's going to be helpful for your brand. Now, the 10th point is the advanced one I was talking about earlier. This is what you get for staying until the end. I call this more mergers and acquisitions from an SEO perspective. What you can basically do is you can go look for sites that have good domain authority. You can use a tool like Ahrefs out there, and what you can do is you can find those websites. Ideally, you're looking for sites that are monetized by AdSense, which tells me they're probably under monetized, and you can reach out to them and say, hey, are you interested in potentially an acquisition? And you can buy them out. They have a strong domain authority, they're getting a lot of traffic, or they have a lot of content on their website, and maybe your site has a strong domain authority, and you can redirect all that content to your site. This is always going to work 100% of the time, but it does work a lot of times. If you could do a good job and continue to serve that audience base, and whatever it is that you offer plugs in well, then you are not only growing your traffic, and you're not only growing your rankings, and you're not only getting more number 1 rankings, but you're growing the business at the end of the day. And whoever you're talking to, whoever your manager is, or if you're running your own business, it's kind of a win-win-win across the board. Look, if you enjoyed this video and you want marketing help, you can check out my ad agency. You can go to singlegrain.com, or we're always hiring amazing people. Go to singlegrain.com/work. We're looking for amazing people. You can apply over there, and there's a handful of things over there, and we'll catch you in the next video. See you later.